A couple of reports for you first off today. Oxford University's Michael Osborne and Carl Frey estimate that 47% of U.S. workers could lose their jobs due to automation. Worldwide managing consulting firm McKinsey puts that number at 45%. PricewaterhouseCoopers Accounting agrees that 45% of work activities can be automated with savings in the neighborhood of $2 trillion. In 2016, the World Development Report, the World Bank estimates that 57% of jobs in the OECD could be automated over the next 2 decades. There. Now you know more than any elected official in Canada, from school boards to the Prime Minister and everyone else in between, but especially the educational establishment, from teachers' unions, well, let me repeat, especially teachers' unions, to school boards and education ministries. Yes, that may be overstating it a bit, but I'm seriously willing to bet that no one in the educational establishment, no teachers, let alone their union leaders, nobody on the curriculum committees have read even one of these reports or the numerous others that detail the employment challenges that our children are about to face. The side of me that's always getting into trouble says that's because they're too consumed with the latest progressive social justice issue, and unemployment isn't part of that agenda, despite the fact that technology is about to exacerbate income inequality far beyond what we're experiencing today. You got to forgive my bluntness, but massive job losses and the accompanying social disruption tends to bring that out in me. None of our political leaders and the rest of the political establishment give any indication that they appreciate the coming massive layoffs, especially in specific industries, things like trucking, delivery, taxis, manufacturing, certain support services, plus a raft of other occupations. Sure, new jobs are going to get created in some new areas, but I'm talking about massive disruptions in specific lines of work. Now, you can search all the political discourse you can find, but you won't find anyone talking specifically, let alone preparing for, what John Maynard Keynes called technological unemployment. Yes, we talk about adult education and skills training, but governments don't even know what skills we should be training for. And then the record shows they implement programs without any measure of their effectiveness. Now, I appreciate I've said this before, but at some point we better start talking about the role of public education could play in preparing our children for the changing nature of employment. But you know what? We don't seem interested in talking about education beyond the latest gripe from the teachers' union. And don't get me wrong, I'm not critical of the role teachers' unions play, but I am highly critical of the pretense that they focus on the best interest of students. Think about this. For all the media coverage given to the federal leaders of the 4 major political parties, all the provincial leaders in government and opposition, the various mayors and school boards, when have you heard anyone ring the alarm bell over technology-driven unemployment? When do you hear any of these people talk about the role that education could play in preparing our children for the new world of employment? And please, don't tell me the introduction of coding into public schools is a big step. It's a first step, and I'm happy they're doing it, albeit a little late. But it's a small step on the road to technological literacy. I suspect one of the main obstacles, by the way, to implementing a curriculum that encompasses full technological literacy is that while the kids are fully ready for it, the adults in the educational establishment are not, because they're not technologically sophisticated. There's a provincial election right now in BC. There was one in Alberta 2 years ago. Of course, we had our federal one 18 months ago. And not once did you hear anyone talk about BC or Alberta or, well, I appreciate public education is a provincial responsibility, but that doesn't mean the feds don't have a role. But none of these people, nobody ever talked about the goal of leading the world when it comes to public education. Well, maybe it's just like our healthcare system, where mediocrity is clearly the norm and clearly a Canadian value. As futurist Richard Warzel observes, education and the means by which we deliver it is the single social structure most resistant to change at a time when change is happening faster than any other time in human history. What I'm talking about are the economic and social consequences of failing to see education and as the principal multi-billion-dollar government weapon in preparing both the younger generation and adults for the changes that are already happening, with much more to come. By the way, the educational establishment completely disagrees with me. They think providing a well-rounded liberal education and preparing children with the skills they'll need to work in the new world are incompatible. I think that attitude does a profound disservice to our children. It limits the future for our children who come especially from homes that can't fill that educational gap. It sows the seed for social upheaval as major groups of people are left behind. There's 95 million permanently unemployed in the States today. So yeah, I'll keep talking about it, but my bet is that no one's going to listen until it's too late. Actually, it already is too late for the current generation of manufacturing workers who are getting replaced by robots. And it's about to be for lots of workers in the transportation industry, among others.